following program was provided by an independent producer solely responsible for its content. The opinions expressed do not necessarily represent the views of this station, its staff, board of directors, or underwriters.
Every day, citizens around the country are faced with new dilemmas that affect them profoundly. Whether it's injustice, discrimination, falling through the cracks, scandals and cronyism, balances of power, ethics, religious freedoms, state versus citizens, and unfunded mandates, and the list goes on and on and on. Welcome to Speak Up. It's directed at those who have fallen through the cracks, and it gives them a voice. It's your turn to speak up, to stand up and fight back.
Welcome to Speak Up. I'm Kevin Avard, your host, and today I have Dennis Hogan, a former county attorney,
Yes.
On as a guest, and welcome to the show.
Thank you very much. Appreciate having me.
I really appreciate you coming on the show. You're going to be running for a county attorney again.
Right. Well, I understand this is tape delayed, so I haven't announced yet. But
Right.
by the time this is actually played,
Sure.
it'll be about the right timing for my announcement that I'll be running for county attorney again.
Now, tell me a little bit about the county attorney. Why is that an important position to run
Well,
for?
county attorney is a prosecution department for the felonies that go to the superior courts.
Mm-hmm.
And you would think that that would be a non-political thing. In fact, in the 2 years that I did it, I tried to keep it as non-political as possible.
Right.
You know, I didn't ask people what.
That's the last thing anybody wants, is it to be a political position.
Well, right, yeah. But as soon as the Democrat who is elected now took over, within 2 months, that Democrat was hammering away at wanting more power to regulate what gun owners do with their guns and how they sell them and all that sort of thing. So asking basically for more power
Right.
for the county prosecutor to prosecute people for some other felony. I think that's not the way to do it. I don't think, even if I agreed with that stance on that particular issue, I don't think it's the county attorney's job to advocate for more for the county attorney to do.
Right.
You wait for the legislature to, set the laws, set the statutes, and then read them and find out, what they are and prosecute accordingly. And that's what I think the job of the county attorney is. Completely non-political, almost as if you're a judge, in my mind.
Right. Now, what is the process of executing your job?
Well, the county attorney is the leader of the county attorney office, which is 20 assistant county attorneys.
Right.
They do the prosecution, and there's 20 staff that help with that task. Secretaries and investigators and.
Do you work directly in conjunction with the Attorney General's office, or
The attorney's, well, no, yes and no. I mean, the Attorney General's office directly gives the authority for prosecution to the county attorneys, who
Okay.
then distribute it to their assistant county attorneys. So on a technical basis or on a paper basis, yes, directly. But on a day-to-day basis, no. We check in monthly or quarterly, actually, with the Attorney General. There's a meeting with all the county attorneys, and we go there if we want to, actually,
Right.
frankly.
do they have? Can they butt into a case at any time without? If there's something that interested them, can they?
I don't know I never even thought about what the power was, because there was one particular case when I was there that they wanted to help out. A
Right.
policeman was shot in Manchester. That seemed very important. We weren't sure initially whether he was going to live or die. And so the Attorney General was right there, because they do take all the murders.
Right.
And so when the policeman didn't die, they were already well into it, part of the investigation, and they offered to help with the prosecution of it. I said, that's terrific. We have somebody here who will work quite well with you.
Right.
And so we took the help, and we made sure that gentleman was convicted of that shooting of the police officer.
So you work
away.
you work in
So
tandem
yeah,
with them.
always best to work. I'm always very happy to work hand in hand with any other government organization. I think that's an important part of being a head of a county, any department, county
Right.
attorney. The present county attorneys had been on the newspapers for having beefs with the lead judge for the Superior Court, the administrative judge, Judge Nadeau, who was trying to bring in some innovations on how things were done, so do them a little smoother, maybe do them a little less expensive.
Right.
Not willing to, participate in a trial of that sort of system, and so they had to go elsewhere to try it. And
So that just complicates the matter.
yeah,
Right.
Try to be cooperative. I think you should be cooperative with the courts. I think you should be cooperative with, for example, ICE, who they come around and look for people who don't belong in the country. And I had an interviewer come to me, somebody who was working for the Telegraph at the time, or said he was working for the Telegraph, interviewed me and wanted to know why, was I being extra mean to the, illegal immigrant community, or, and I said, no, I'm not being extra
It's just
mean.
enforcing the law.
I'm just, I'm willing to cooperate with any other government agency. If the federal government is coming in here and they have a task of finding those people, and those are people that are on our rolls, and they want to, us to work cooperatively, then I'm going to work cooperatively. I'm not going out of my way to get any particular people.
You're not
that's
targeting.
not my job.
Right.
It's not my job to enforce immigration laws, but
It's supposed to be blind justice,
if
right?
we can work, yeah, sure. Yeah, it should be blind justice.
Right.
I'm not going to convict somebody who's an illegal alien of something that we prosecute just because he's done something else. The question is whether it's on our plate.
Mm-hmm.
But you certainly, I think it's important to work cooperatively with other departments because it saves money, and I'm all about saving money.
Right.
One of the things that I did when I was county attorney was to take a budget that had been reduced over the 2 years by 8%, and we managed to do record levels of felony cases despite having 8% less money. And we did it smoothly. And the reason we were able to do that is we looked at what we really needed to do. And there were some cases where we were doing more than we needed to do. And that was obvious because one of our departments was doing it, and the other department up in down in Nashville was not doing it. No, Nashville was doing it, but Manchester wasn't doing it. So it was pretty clear that we didn't need to do it.
So you don't need to waste the taxpayers' money. Obviously,
No.
you can get the job done and run it efficiently, and that's part of what you're planning on
Part
doing.
of, when you talk about it not being political, the fact of the matter is it ends up being a result, right, between Republicans and Democrats. Republicans, or certainly me, are willing to look for ways to save money.
Streamline it and
Streamline it, yeah. Whatever we can do to save the taxpayer. If somebody asked me, how do you do it? I'd say, number one thing is I try to do it.
Right.
I'm actually trying and
It's
looking
on
for
the
ways
radar.
to save money. Right, it's on the radar. If you don't care about saving money and you think that every time somebody says save money or do it for less, they're somehow offending you personally, and you're just not willing to look into it, which is often the case. We see that all the time in school departments, right? When the school or is told, or the school department is told, you have to do it less. And the first thing they do is say, well, there's no
gotta
buses
cut this,
then.
gotta cut that.
There's no buses then.
Right.
There's no
Kids gotta walk to school
football.
again.
Yeah, they just go and they smack you with the things that are the hardest to take.
Right.
That's the
They
difference.
punish you.
That is the difference between someone who is trying to, like myself, trying to live
Work
more
within the
cheaply,
means, right?
yes, live within our means, and make it more efficient and effective. And somebody who is just not even interested in doing it, and their attitude is, just send us the money. We know better than you.
Right.
And
How-
I don't like that attitude. As someone who comes from the private sector, I just don't like that attitude.
How long have you been in practice?
I graduated from law school in 2002 and been practicing since then.
Okay, so
Private
wow.
practice. Yeah.
Right, and you
So it's 12
practiced-
years now, a dozen years.
You practiced privately. You were previously a county attorney.
Yeah,
And now you're doing
right.
private practice again.
Right. Yeah, I like to tell people, geez, if you like this, great. I'm already that. I'm somebody bringing in outside ideas to the department. Yeah, I'm that.
So you're a
But
coach of basketball
who's,
too.
You want somebody who's been in there and knows the workings of the thing already? Hey, well, I'm that too. Look at that. So I'm both.
So are the girls going to lose you as a coach if you become county attorney?
Well, the girl that my girlfriend's daughter, who is the reason I went to the team, that
Yeah.
won the championship.
You're a basketball
that you're
coach,
alluding to,
right?
right?
Yeah.
We won the junior biddy girls championship. It was on this local station, so all the viewers.
What was the
know
name of
that
the team?
already. The Warriors.
There you go.
And
Just giving them a plug. That's
yeah,
all.
it was a great time. But she's already at a 10-year-old level, so she would go to the next biddy. And so we'll probably get a team that.
Well, that's nice that you're able to do that. And you're volunteering your
But
time.
I still want to do it. I still definitely want to volunteer. I love coaching.
So you're actually you're involved with the community. You've been in private practice.
Right.
obviously, you've cut your budget, you said 8%?
We cut it 8%. Yeah, and as soon as the Democrats took control again, 2% more each year.
Right.
So it's already back up half.
Now, have you been, you have been following their track record since?
Well, you know, it's actually difficult to follow, but I did read in an article that they had increased 2%
Right.
that first year. They don't put the budget online like we did, and that they had been doing in the past.
So much for
some reason, the
transparency.
newest budgets are not searchable online like they used to be.
Mm-hmm.
Very strange.
Now, what is
So it's
your
a little
district?
difficult to, but I will get that information as the campaign goes along, because they're just wrapping up at this point their county budget.
Now, you're in Hillsborough County, obviously, so
Right.
you take care of everything in the county.
Yeah, right. Manchester, Nashua, the towns from basically Pelham out to Hillsborough.
That's quite an area.
It is a big area, yeah. And it's all, and for New Hampshire, it's the largest county in terms of population. You know, the counties were set up historically. I mean, you know, a long time ago, and I don't think they took much consideration into. Well, they couldn't have taken any consideration into where the population was going to be 100 years later.
Right.
And now that's what we have. We have some counties that have very little population growth over those 100 years, and then Manchester and Nashua, which of course had a great amount of increase in population. So Nashua and Manchester make up a county that has a lot of people in it compared to the other counties.
Right. So your main function is going to try to be to streamline the office,
Yes.
work within the budget. Right.
Absolutely, work within the budget. I mean, you're given a budget, you figure out how to work within
And
that
enforce
budget.
the law.
Yeah, just passionately, non-politically enforce the law.
Let me ask you.
Not advocate for any kind of increase in the power by saying we need more power to do this or power to do that. We want to prosecute something new. No,
Let
if
me
the
ask you a really
legislature in their
difficult
wisdom
question.
say prosecute something new, then that's on our plate. If not, it's not.
When the legislature pushes a bill to give illegal immigrants or illegal aliens free college education, and it passes the House,
Right.
how does that affect you enforcing the law with ICE?
Well, I don't think it does. Because it passes the House, I don't think it counts for anything. It's simply something that's been debated and it wouldn't take any effect. ICE is
But you
still
see
gonna
how
come in.
that confuses people. You're offering free education to illegal aliens to the universities, or on the legislature's part,
Right.
and then, well, you're here illegally, so we got to deport you. How does that work? Who's running the
what
show
happens
here?
is ICE is no longer fully active in
They
getting
just
people
dropping
out
the
of the
ball.
country.
Right.
They've just said to themselves, for whatever reason, there's too many people, and we're not going to go after those. We're going to go after anybody who's committed
A crime.
a crime,
Or a
certainly
felony. Right.
I don't know if they go after.
But they just let out
Misdemeanor.
35,000
Yeah,
recently.
I don't know anything about that, but
Well, they apparently there were 35,000 felons from varying degrees that the Obama administration basically just
I
said.
did read about them saying that they thought some people had been prosecuted too harshly
Yeah.
for drug offenses, which.
But they had rape, murder, the whole 9 yards.
Oh,
I
I
mean, there was
heard
all
about
it was
that.
a mix.
Yeah.
So that just kind of confuses people. Where is the law enforcement? How do we, what are we going to enforce the law? Are people going to do the full term? Are we going to, we got a guy in
I
Mexico.
think it's always legitimate to debate whether the laws are correct,
Yeah.
whether the punishments for certain offenses are correct, whether they're too much or too little. It's always legitimate to debate that fact.
Right.
And I think if the Obama administration thinks that they're too stringent, they should advocate for them being reduced. And then at that point then it might be fair to say, we've reduced these punishments, and everybody agrees that we should have. It went through the House and through the Senate, and the President signed it. Now let's look back and say to these people who were punished during a harsher period in the history, and let's deal with them. Let's maybe give them the benefit of what we've decided was, the right punishment now.
But as
I think
far
that that makes sense. That's logical for them to for any time for them to just start pushing people out of the prisons for a haphazard reason. I don't think that
Right.
makes good sense.
But your position is, you put the blinders on, look at the law, and just enforce it.
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah. And
Enforce it, and in doing that, of course, there's a sentencing stage where you maybe take the blinders off a little bit more and say, what's the circumstances of this person?
Right.
First time doing it, a record of doing this sort of thing, how much danger is, so weighing those two things, if it's the first time, you're obviously a little bit more lenient. If it's something that person has made a habit out of, and they've really shown themselves to be a danger, and we really think that it would be nice to have them off the streets altogether, or it really feels like they're going to do it immediately upon being released, then you're harsher.
Yeah.
But those are considerations that are made.
So,
and legitimately so, I think.
You've seen a lot of cases when you were county
Sure.
prosecutor. What was something very difficult for you to do? What was one of your hardest cases, if you don't mind me asking?
Well, one hard case was a situation where happened here in Nashville, where the folks were really disappointed in the result, in that someone was badly hurt, and the reason for them being badly hurt, the reason for the person having hurt them, was you couldn't really prove that they had thought it through and done it sort of as an active thing.
Right.
It was more a matter of, was it medical? Was there a medical problem that had kind of caused it? And they crashed a car and caused injury.
Right.
It might have even caused death. But that was, having that come on my desk and having them say, look, we worked out as good a deal as we could work out, and giving the person a punishment, but not as much as we had originally wanted to. Yeah. And it got pulled back because it looked like we were being too lenient. And so to have to say, well, you know what, I think you guys have done well enough, and maybe we'll take a hit for being lenient, and the folks who were the family of the victims, they're not going to be too happy about it. That kind of thing is hard. It's so much easier to say, let's go guns blazing and right off the cliff and lose completely, versus making that sort of compromised.
That's got to be difficult.
You make a compromise when you'd like to just be hard. Yeah. And so you do make the compromise. So that kind of thing can be difficult.
Yeah. So you have a Facebook page for?
Oh, sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, right now, and I'll have it changed by the time this airs. It'll be Dennis Hogan 4, but right now it's Dennis Hogan, former Hillsborough County Attorney. Yeah.
Well, I wish
you can see my dchoganlaw.com, which will lead you to eventually. I don't know how many times or when this will be seen, but
it should be a few times. And
HoganforCountyAttorney.com then is something people can go to.
It was nice to see you at the parade the other day.
Yeah, I took a ride out to where I was going to watch the parade, and
you had the shirts on there.
And the old shirt was on, and people
just everybody was out that
happy
day.
About it. Oh yeah, there's a lot of
politicians.
But you don't want to do too much campaigning, because it really is a day for remembering the veterans, and so to be too much in your face about it, can irk people, and I'm cognizant of that, and so try to be casually getting my name out. Right.
It is a solemn day, and my son actually runs the honor guard here in New Hampshire for the Army, and he takes it very seriously.
And did he parade?
I believe he might have. Not here in Nashville, the Boscawen facility. He basically runs that and goes around the state and makes sure that they're running properly. Sergeant Avard, he served in Afghanistan, and he lost some friends, and it means a lot to him, and it should. These people sacrificed their lives, so it was nice to see people out there celebrating, and for the right reason.
I suppose, and the important thing really is to be there. Yeah. Because if we just ignored it, then they would feel ignored. Yeah, which
exactly.
We don't want. So we got I got myself and my kids to go down and see a little bit of the parade.
Well, thank you for your service, and thank you for running, and I really appreciate it, and we appreciate everything that you do.
It's something I can bring to the office that it doesn't have right now.
Save us some money and enforce the law. That's right. That's good.
Absolutely.
Appreciate it. So,
all right.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you for watching Speak Up, and like Dennis Hogan's Facebook page.
Yes, you can like the Dennis Hogan for County Attorney Facebook page.
County Attorney. So until next week, thanks for watching Speak Up. If you would like to be a guest on Speak Up, please contact me at speakupnh@gmail.com. We'll help you be heard.
The preceding program was provided by an independent producer solely responsible for its content. The opinions expressed do not necessarily represent the views of this station, its staff, board of directors, or underwriters.